Okay, so now we are moving on to the next Whoa! You can do the... Hey, good morning everybody. Welcome to the vlog. Today I am going to take you on a different journey of sorts. You know, every now and then people ask me, are there male snakes? Are there female snakes? Well, yes, that's how they reproduce. But then the next question is always, how do you tell? How do you know a male from a female? And there's a handful of techniques I'm going to show you. So I know some of you people are saying, I don't know that I want to see it, but I'm encouraging you because you're going to learn something that you probably aren't going to learn very many places. And that's how to tell a boy from a girl when it comes to a snake. We're going to have an absolutely amazing time trying to teach you that, and we're going to try to keep it as PG as possible. I hope that you guys will enjoy it, and I hope that your day is absolutely incredible. So what do you say we learn some cool stuff together, and we push all our problems aside for the next little bit while we're learning together? Go ahead down in the comments and let me know what you think. Did you want to learn how to sex a snake today? Let me know in the comments, and while you're down there, go ahead and smash that like button. What do you say? We just jump right into this. Before we really get into the techniques of sexing snakes, we have to understand the anatomy of snakes. So a male and female have some pretty significant differences, probably no more so than the fact that males have something that's called hemipenises. That's right, hemipenises. I said hemipenises, and that is two penises, not just one, and they're in the cloacal region of the snake. So a snake right here at the base of the tail has what they call an anal vent. I know you guys are going to keep laughing at the things I'm saying, but the truth is they have a big scale that is actually that plate, and everything on this side of that plate is actually the base of the tail, and that's where the sex organs are, or where in the male's case the hemipenes are. So now you got to ask yourself, now that we know that there are male snakes, how do you know if it's a girl or a boy? There's several different techniques, and I'm going to try to share all of them with you, and each snake is a little bit different. Some snakes you can sex with what they call tail sexing, which is the least intrusive of all of the techniques, but unfortunately it doesn't work with all snakes. So that's the other issue here. So you have to know which snakes you can tail sex, which snakes you don't. And basically what I mean by that is that this is a female albino Chinese beauty snake, and you can tell that she has a very quick taper in her tail right after that. The male's going to have a much gradualer taper, and I'm going to show you that in a second, but unfortunately that doesn't work with a lot of snakes. When you get into ball pythons and so many other snakes, they have basically the same tail. Then there's something that's called spur sex, which is another technique that's not very intrusive. That really only works for boas and a few other species. It doesn't work with most things, and then you have to actually probe or avert the hemipenes. Those are the basic techniques. Let's go ahead and get started with the easiest one, which is tail sexing. Alright, so like I was mentioning, we're going to jump right into the tail sexing. And basically what you have here, this is a big male corn snake. And what you really want to look at is this taper right after this vent right here. You can see that it kind of tapers really slowly, and really there's what they call subcaudal scales. That is on this side of the vent, and those are subscales. So if a male hardly tapers for, 7, 8 subcaudal scales, it's just a really gradual taper. That typically absolutely is a way you can tail sex it as a male. Whereas a female, on the other hand, like this girl right here, you can see the taper is much, much quicker. That taper from the vent right there down to a pretty dramatic taper is only about 5 or 6 scales. So again, what's going to happen is the males have this slow taper that goes down the tail, and the females have a dramatic taper. And again, what that basically comes down to is that they need space for the hemipene pockets, because those hemipenises actually retract into the base of the tail and then come out when they actually mate, and they need a space there. They call them hemipene pockets. I love this stuff, guys. I actually love kind of the whole thing about snakes and their anatomy and all these cool things. I know some of you guys are watching this vlog like, oh my god, is Brian actually talking about snake private parts? But hey, I figured someone out there is gonna know, and if you have any curiosity about snakes, you probably have been wondering this, so why not cover it in today's vlog? Okay, so now we are moving on to the next Now we're moving on to the other unobtrusive sexing technique, and I was not prepared for that snake strike. This is my male Suriname red-tailed boa, and he has never struck before, so I got him a little bit close to the face, and it was definitely pretty close. But regardless, it doesn't matter. He is certainly just going, hey, leave me alone, I don't know what's going on. He's a beautiful animal, but regardless, boas and pythons are at at least a lot of boas and pythons, you silly monkey, or at least a lot of boas and pythons have what they call vestigial spurs. So right at that vent, just like I've been showing you where the cloaca is, there's actually these little vestigial spurs that are really like remnants of legs, believe it or not. So it's part of evolution, for those of you that believe in evolution, which if you don't, I don't understand why you wouldn't. What the deal is that with some snakes, in particular boa constrictors, you can actually sex them by the size of the vestigial spurs. Males will have much larger spurs than females. Now it does take a little bit of expertise because of course you've got to know what you're looking at. And you could look and say, oh well, I think that's a big spur, I'm not sure. But after you've seen a lot of snakes, you'll really see the difference, and I'll try to show you with this guy right here. But again, it doesn't work on all snakes, just really boa constrictors. You can see it with sand boas, certainly rosy boas, but when it comes to ball pythons and other pythons like Burmese, they have vestigial spurs too, but males and females basically have almost the same size, so you can't really judge it by that. So let's go ahead and take a look at this male boa, and then I'll show you a little bit bigger boa and really give you an idea what I'm talking about. So basically you can see right down by the base of the tail there's actually two little spurs. They almost look like little fingernails or something like that sticking out. And again, the males are going to have much larger spurs than the females. Females are going to have just little knobs and something like that. But there is the male there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the female. And here's the female, and we can see right now with the base of the tail, right like this, the same type of thing. You'll see little tiny spurs, but you're not going to see very big spurs at all. They're more or less just little tiny remnants of spurs. So again, that male and female is going to be quite different when it comes to these boas, but it's a little bit harder to see on these little tiny ones. Let's go look at some bigger ones, and I think you'll get a much better idea. Really, probably the perfect two animals to show you would be from my two new boa constrictors that I just got in that I absolutely love because they're a little bit bigger and they're very much easier to spur sex at this size. You can see right here that again, the spurs are going to be right here, and they're really tiny, and I know that the camera's probably not picking it up that much, but the truth is there's little tiny spurs right here, and of course that would mean that this is a female. You could see it has these really big spurs right there. You see them right there? That is the difference between a male and a female. Oh, this one's gonna poop on me. Oh, and look at that. It actually pushed its hemipenes out. It actually did that for me. That's kind of how you avert hemipenes. And this one did it kind of voluntarily, saying, stay away from me, which is completely fine. I'm going to go ahead and let this poor guy get back to it because I guess I violated him a little bit. But the truth is that spur sexing is a really great way to sex boa constrictors because there's no like kind of surgical probe or averting of hemipenes. You can just visually look at them, and males will always have much longer spurs, just like you see with this guy here compared to the female. So most of you guys know that Noah has a YouTube channel, so I am actually going to take a quick break from work. I'm going to head home and do a ridiculous another challenge on Noah's channel. So I'm going to head over there, hit that, and then I'll come back and we'll continue talking about sexing snakes. But in the meantime, I think Lori's going to take over and show you her technique because, to be truthful, she is way better at sexing snakes than probably anyone I know because she has sexed probably about 10 times the amount of snakes that even I've sexed because she's the one that ships out animals and has to always sex them. So I'm going to turn you over to Lori. I'll be back in about an hour or so.
So I guess the theme today is all about sexing snakes. And I know Brian's talked about a few things. It is something that actually I have done a lot of over the years. When I first got involved, obviously I had no idea and Brian had to do it, but in the many years that we've had this business, it somehow became, again, my job to take care of baby snakes. And then when we sell them, learn how to sex them and ship them out or at shows. So basically, I've been doing it for a long time. And I'm gonna show you how to do it for smaller things like baby corn snakes, king snakes, that kind of stuff. Hopefully with a little guidance and direction, you guys can understand it. I don't recommend you necessarily trying it if you don't know what you're doing without proper supervision, just in case you just definitely don't want to hurt the animals. And if you don't know what you're doing, that is possible. But if you practice with someone who can show you how to do it, it's very easy to learn. So that being said, let's try to figure this out. So here we have a baby corn snake. So basically I hold the one part of the snake with my thumb like, and I do a little bit of pressure and roll. Little hemipenes pop up. So there I showed you a male. Now I'll go ahead and show you a female. So this is the female. What you can see there is that you don't see anything. So basically with the females, what you're seeing is nothing. With the males, when you apply that a little bit of pressure and do the rolling, you invert the hemipenes. So you'll see the two hemipenes pop up. With the females, you'll see nothing. Sometimes you can see a little bit of a scent gland, but again, nothing, doesn't even remotely look like a hemipene. But again, don't really recommend it unless you're with somebody who knows what they're doing. So that's it. I hope that helped you with baby snakes, with any questions you had as far as sexing, and let you know that's how I do it here.
So I am home for that quick break, and what the deal is on Noah's channel, last night we actually made this, which is homemade eggnog. And if you guys can see here, there's actually 3 parts to this eggnog. So we pretty much royally screwed that up. So what Noah did was he went out and bought these, and we're gonna do a challenge to see if we can drink an entire half gallon of eggnog without throwing up.
Yeah.
This sounds really good. I tell you, I don't even know why I took a break from work for this. This is ridiculous, but I am going to put the link in the description. You guys can see our misery with this. It's going to be absolutely horrible, and I have a feeling I'm going to feel terrible the rest of the day. Thank you so much, Noah. I appreciate that.
I'm going through it too.
All right, so the link will be in the description, and I'll see you guys back at the shop, probably feeling pretty ill. Okay, so I am back, and I want to really take you through what Lori probably was showing you about averting the hemipenes. And the whole idea behind this is to kind of get the hemipenes to pop out. It's called popping snakes because you want to pop those hemipenes out so that you can see if it's a male or a female. And I'm going to show you both the male and female, but obviously the male is the important one because when you sex a female by averting the hemipenes, there's nothing there. So there's not a whole lot to show. But I want to talk about the technique, and I want to start with a little disclaimer. Please, people, do not do this to your snakes if you don't have experience. If you want to learn how to sex snakes, go to someone that knows how to sex snakes and let them teach you so that they can do it, because you could hurt the animal, and it's so important. Sometimes it looks like, oh, I gotta really press hard, but the truth is it's about the right pressure. It's not about bending and squeezing and popping so hard that it hurts the animal. So I encourage you to please do not do it unless you know what you're doing. With that said, I'm going to tell you what I do, and that is basically, again, we go back to that vent and the fact that all of that sex organs are down in the base of its tail, and they're going to be about 8 to 10 subcaudal scales back where they start. What you want to do is you want to apply pressure with a rolling technique, not a pressing technique, a rolling technique, so that they will actually push up. And I always say it's kind of like a tube of toothpaste, right? If you were to squeeze a tube of toothpaste in the middle, some is going to go this way, some is going to go that way. But if you want the toothpaste to only go out the front, you're going to roll that toothpaste up. Think about it that way. I know that's a silly analogy, but I think it really does work. So basically what you're doing is you're just kind of slowly bending back that tail. Again, slowly and not too much. Do not overbend. And then I'm applying pressure right back, about 8 or 10 subcaudal scales. And I'm going to just roll up, and then I'm going to put a little bit of counter pressure right there. And you see those little hemipenes pop out right there? That is a male. Again, I'm going to roll, and then I'm going to put a little counter pressure, and that's going to pop it right there. So that's how you tell what a male is. Let's go ahead and show you what a female is. It's obviously not going to avert a hemipene, but at least you'll see what I'm looking at. And I'll actually use the exact same type of snake, which is an Enchi pinstripe, which I absolutely think are unbelievable and incredible. So again, we're going to do the exact same thing, people. We're going to slowly bend back. We're going to roll towards the cloaca, and right there you can see nothing pops out. So again, if you don't know what you're doing and nothing pops out, like, oh, that's a female. It's not always the case. You got to know how to avert the hemipenes to make sure. I can't tell you how many times I've bought animals from people that are like, oh, I averted it and there was nothing there. And then I go pop, and they pop right back out. So just because you don't see hemipenes doesn't mean that it is a female. It might mean that you didn't sex the snakes properly. But when you do the right job, you absolutely can. And over the course of the last upteen number of years, myself and Lori have sexed so many tens of thousands of snakes. I think our technique is pretty good, but I will always admit that sometimes we make mistakes. That's why we try to double and triple sex before we ship out snakes, because hey, we can all make mistakes, and I don't want to send the wrong sex animal. So there it is, averting hemipenes. And then the last kind of normal way of sexing snakes would be with these tools here, this barbaric surgical tools. Actually, these are what they call probes. They actually do call them surgical probes, but in reality, you're not really doing any surgery with them. What you're doing is you're actually finding the cloacal pocket, or the hemipene pocket. Now, I'm going to be honest right now. I always found this a little bit bizarre, right? Because if you think about it, okay, this is a male snake right here, and there's hemipenes in here. So you would almost think that if you went in with this probe, it would have some blockage, right? Because you would have the hemipene that would basically be stopping the probe. So you would think kind of commonsensically that this would go in a small amount if it was a male, and if it was a female, maybe it goes in deeper. But in reality, it's the exact opposite, believe it or not. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you do have some lube on this probe right here, and then you're going to just basically go right to the right or left side, and you're going to slowly, very gently insert this probe into the hemipene pocket. And as you can see, this probe went a good, gosh, I don't know, 8 or 10 subcaudal scales, meaning that there is a hemi pocket in there. And of course, we just kind of worked around the hemipene because we're going very slow. You can see this has a little bulbous end and it has lube on it, so it goes in there very quick. You can do the you could do the exact same thing on the other side with the exact same results. Now with a female, believe it or not, it's only going to go 1 or 2 subcaudals, maybe 3 subcaudal scales, and it's going to stop because she doesn't have a hemipene pocket, so she doesn't need a pocket for hemipenes to be in, and that's pretty interesting. Now there are some species get a little bit tricky. Rosy boas you can't really probe, so you have to spur sex. Ball pythons actually are a little bit less different, so a female will probe maybe 4, 5, 6 subcaudals, whereas a male is maybe 8 or 10 or 12. So it's a little more narrow when it comes to those animals, and that's where experience really comes in. But with most colubrids and a lot of other snakes, you can kind of, what we call, bury the probe in a male, barely see anything go in with a female. So those are the really kind of traditional ways of sexing snakes. But I do have one unconditional way I want to share with you. So the next technique kind of doesn't even exist, or, well, at least not exist publicly. And what I wanted to talk about was DNA sexing. So it's something that we've been working on for a while, and I've been saying I've been working on it, but to be honest with you, I need your help a little bit. There is a pretty considerable investment that goes into this, like sequencing the sex chromosome of each individual animal that we want this to work on. But how it would work is literally you would take a shed skin or a mouth swab, or in the case of a blue tongue skink, a little toenail clipping, whatever is easiest for you. You would send it off to my lab and we would tell you if it's a boy or a girl. Now, the reason I really thought of that is because of these animals right here, the blue tongue skinks. You really can't sex them. So it was frustrating for a guy like me that can sex all these other reptiles to all of a sudden be able to be raising up all these skinks and not knowing if they're male and female. It's kind of trial by error. You can look at their head size, something like that. So in actuality, almost all reptiles, not all reptiles, but most reptiles could actually be sequenced and actually can do a DNA testing on it. And I want to be the guy that does that. But again, it takes a lot of money. So I want to know down in the comments, is that something that you would like? Let's say that you even have a ball python that's relatively easy to sex, but you don't know how to sex it and you'd like to know if it's a boy or a girl, whether you want to breed it down the road or you just want to know to name it Sally or Joey. Let me know if you guys would do that, because if you guys say, yes, Brian, I would love that, go ahead and let me know and tell me what species you want to see that in, and maybe I'll go ahead and follow through with this dream of mine to be DNA sexing all reptiles. So regardless, that's basically the last kind of futuristic way to sex reptiles. And with that said, that concludes this sexing vlog. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I know it's a little departure from the norm, but I always want to educate you guys, and I think that it's a topic that I think is pretty interesting. Let me know what you think of it. Tell me if you like it or not. I promise we are going to get back to some other vlogs. Regardless, I hope that you guys have an absolutely incredible day, evening, morning, whatever it might be when you happen to be watching it. Your support means the world to me, and I love you guys so much. Can you do me a couple favors before we get out of here? Can you smash that like button for me? And also turn those post notifications on so you know when I upload a video, which is every day, 7 days a week at 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern Standard Time. Remember to be kind to somebody today, and I promise I'm going to see you guys tomorrow.